Today is Monday the 13th, January 2025. Just, that's it. Just. See, this idiot, this crazy protein person is just a person, a mere person. This personage, this protein, this is a personage, and it's a character. And that character is set by the information that it carries in its vector potential. Vector potential is proven in 1906 by Dr. Levy, proven categorically, extension of shell theory from Euler, that at the moment of a collision of two rigid bodies, the first thing that happens is that the vector potential is set in the rigid body. So that, and picture the moment, two rigid bodies are going to collide together. What's the first thing that happens? The first thing that happens is there is an information exchange carried in sound through temperature. Proven by Victor Levy in 1906. I can keep saying proven, not a theory. Proven, because it stands on shell theory, Love 1892. Take those two rigid bodies colliding and place one inside the other. And they're vibrating, they're pulsing, so that there is a continual collision going on. Imagine that one, the outside one, let's say, is stationary, and the inside one is expanding, hits the outside, and then immediately contracts back to where it was in the instant of time that you can't measure within the moment, the duration of h Planck's constant. That's the rigid body moment. So now, it's a simple move. Take the collision of the two rigid bodies and take vector potential as existing before motion. So this is uncertainty principle, position and momentum. It's because vector potential happens first, and then there is a change in velocity and a change in position. Those two things occur, and you can see whichever one you want, you won't see the other one. You want to see how fast it went or where it went from the vector potential position. This is the filter, the veil that Levy places there with his coefficient tables. Now, that vector potential exists for that instant, and the information contained in the vector potential is carried by the momentum of the 2D rotation of tension and bending in shear force flow. So that gravity is created from shear force flow at nth scale. That shear force flow is compressed. Yeah, here come the shear forces, and they're compressed into a vortex. They all compress together. The last thing that's compressed is the colour. Colour can't be compressed, but it can be corrupted. So the colour is the vector potential. It's the result of sound and temperature change. It's light. Okay, so vector potential exists for that duration. Now, the mechanism from atomic force, duration spinning at c, velocity, variable, duration of circumference, if you like. Here's a tiny bubble that doesn't exist. Here's the bubble that it expands into, which does exist. That bubble has a duration measurable by h, and it's the duration of the circumference that maintains the bubble itself, which is why c is too slow. It should be faster because the equator is too big. That force of c is just translated now through a mechanism of heat, because this is the heat that is created is an increase in heat. The temperature momentum is maintained in a positive direction, and that heat starts at the center of the planet and works its way out. And then you've got these it's a gobstopper of force fields, infinite force fields of inverted and verted surfaces, layers of right way, wrong way, right way, wrong way, all the way expanding out until it gets to the outside sphere, the geocorona, where it stays outside, or appears to. Frame of reference. And then that mechanism from the center of the planet to the geocorona, the rigid body, goes elastic, and the temperature starts to wane. So as the material becomes more viscous, remember the speed of light, and then slowing as it gets out exponential surface areas of spheres, gets to the surface layer here where we are, where there is a transform, a final transform, meter squared per second squared becomes meter squared. There's a total transform, slowly, and it happens here in our hearts, in the Z discs of our hearts. If you look at the spectrocardiograph imaging of them, you can see they're a flat plate with a dimple up and a dimple down, the Z discs, and that's the single bending moment of our hearts. It's expressed throughout our myocardial muscles, which are special. So the bending moment at one point in the myocardial fold is expressed throughout the muscle in these Z discs. So you can take the Z disc, take it as, and say, well, that's an actual chamber that exists, created in pure force, center of our hearts. Around it is a light, half dark. Moon, connected. So the second bending is created by second mass. You've got this powerful geocorona, center of planet, shell theory mechanism going on. You get to meter squared per second said there's a transform where there's a second moment of area. The second bending moment is created by the moon. The mass of light, the meter 4. So the combination of our hearts, the human heart, combined as a single entity is reflected there. That's, we all bend around that. Those Z discs with a dimple up and dimple down, I predict, will be found. When you track them over the course of a month, they'll rotate. Because that's nice, gentle, elastic motion, which you want. You didn't want those things pumping up and down. When I found them, I thought, oh, they pump up and down. It's a really thin membrane. When I looked, I thought, no, look how clever this mechanism is. It doesn't happen, it happens in pure force. So it can be the size it needs to be by actually existing in the muscles as Z discs, as potential action. And so I go back to vector potential, and action potential of the Z disc and heart. The Z disc should go into a sphere. It has the energy and momentum from where it is to pop into a sphere, elastically pop, and then deflate over a longer duration, creating a pop graph. Get it? When you look at the graph of action potential in the myocardial vascular muscles, it goes up, it yields plastic, and down, back to start again. So it's a sphere, inflating, deflating. Because I knew there's two forces inside there, I predicted it was going to be a pump. Right? That's what I'd find. And then I find this mechanism in pure force. The light of the moon. So there's a twisting force maintained by this second bending moment of area on our hearts, and that's what life is. So that's where it began. The slime experiences a bending force which creates a pulsatile. That pulse exists in matter. The moment that it is caught by an elastic membrane with a surfactance, changes the surface tension. A mucus creates a surfactance effect, which it just makes the surface tension different. And see a spider's web catching a piece of ether, light fiber, coils, lining them all up in polarity, gaining their strength again with a mucus, surfactants. And so that's all we are. That's what life is. It grew from there, from the surfactants of gunge. The Lord, God creates that, right? And then something, entity, picked that up, an entity that evolved from this goop and consciousness, has dominion over it all. It's a slime mold. So the slime mold is what our consciousness is at the moment, because of the way we behave. The territorial and the cancerous, self-destructive behaviour is that of slime mold that's gone crazy. It doesn't want to survive anymore. That's the trouble with it. It doesn't know when to switch off. The slime mold has all the territory and just wants to keep going. And so now we have all we need to wake up. Women, go celibate, align your cycles to that of the moon. No permission required, just get on with it. Ask for training, ask for help, talk to each other. Don't ask me, I'm a man. I'm just saying, this is the engineering. I want you to come up with how this works and take over the sisterhood and take us over as a pride of lions. You're the lionesses. Give us the lioness, choose your alpha, and let's build a pride as a hive of bees with a queen. And that's who we are. Through this motion, women, of you doing that, men. Also, you'll have to go celebrate. And there's no touching yourself, none of that. Depornography. Not getting a hard-on is bad. We want nobody to get a hard-on, right? Because what will happen, our blood plasma will immediately thin and we'll feel this lift. Yeah, the effect will be spontaneous. So the more people do it, suddenly this motion around the world of celibacy and women aligned with the moon, the natural order is restored, and we'll see that sex is, we'll see it for what it is. We'll get all the training we need, okay, to understand it, how we have it properly, truthfully, loyally, and having it, yeah? Because if you have it corruptly, you damage the whole species. Provably in Science and Engineering, 1906. And Revelations 13:18, 666, number of a man is the Reynolds number. It's the Reynolds number of our blood, of perfection, thinner than 616, which is the alternative, which it is now as it runs through the myocardial fold. The Reynolds number already exists. And so I know I fulfilled that biblical prophecy. You'll know it when you practice what I'm telling you about the celibacy and the cycles, and you'll see if we haven't just won this game without anyone even noticing. The smart people won, and Christ returns. God is back in his kingdom. Watch. We are going to have an immaculate child. She is going to be born here in Great Britain to a virgin, a girl whose hymen is sealed, a white girl whose hymen is sealed. So any white girl whose hymen is sealed in Great Britain, as of this moment that you see this video, you protect her with your life. With your life. Yeah? Because when Christ returns, if we make a safe haven for Christ, Christ will be born. Okay, there's the story. And it's all just an experiment and a game. But the experiment, if it works out, is that we win the game. And we go to our Star Trek world. We're going back in time, my friends. When this experiment began, I believe 1908, the Tunguska experiment was Levy from 1906, tested this stuff, and he messed it up. And that's why all the German buildings were everywhere. The German Empire buildings all over the world. It all went wrong. So we're going to go and live in that world. So you better be on your best behavior. Yeah? Remember, yeah, gentlemen, there's only the alphas get to have the sex. The betas have to get trained. So just no sex for now, and we'll just sort out the wheat from the chaff. Okay. I love you, human beings. Wake up now, today, and let's start to live. Follow the Rebel King.